So how do we go about getting it ourselves? First of all, I mean, there's more than one type of reimbursement on there. What are the sort of areas where we are going to have to look at?
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different reimbursement types. And when you look around online, you'll see varying lists. Some people say, oh, there's 5, there's 10, there's 15, 20. There's a few. And everyone kind of buckets them up and puts them together in different ways. The way that we group them, we kind of group them into 3 main top ones that we see the vast majority of the refunds coming from. And then there are a bunch of like smaller ones that generally don't have as much. So the main one being, we call it inventory adjustments. This can be for things that have been like lost in the warehouse, damaged or disposed of potentially. And that accounts for around about 70% in total, kind of all those together. The second biggest one is going to be kind of lost and damaged inbound shipments. So that kind of, you shipped all your stuff to Amazon's warehouse, that's the fulfillment center. They've dropped a package and then it's been broken, or maybe they just say, hey, you didn't send us 1,000 units. You only sent us 995. So they've just vanished. And that accounts for about 25% of the money that's coming back. And then the next chunky one, a little less chunky, but that's overcharged FBA fees. So potentially just dimensions are wrong and they're just charging you too much. And that accounts for around 5%. And then all the others kind of just trend to zero. They just kind of change and they don't generally go back as much.
Brilliant. So if you 80/20 it, in fact, so 70/30, I suppose in this case, you would just focus on lost damage in warehouse and forget it. Now, most people will be too upset about their inventory missing to not go for lost and damaged inbound shipment. I've got one of the clients in the mastermind who spent a lot of time fighting Amazon to get overcharged FBA fees back, which actually, if they charge 13% or 15% of sales, again, depending on the profit margin, it may be that your net margin pre-tax could be as little as 10%. That's quite common these days. Then it's still worth having, right? But it sounds like if there's one thing you focus on, it's what they do in the warehouse, which makes sense, by the way. They have a huge
Yeah.
warehouse network. It's bound to go wrong. That's where most of the work is. That's where most of the errors are. It makes sense to me. All right.